Welcome back, everybody, to the World Championship Series. We are currently in day 2, and we just saw TLO and 4GG advance to the round of 8. This will be the winner's match of Group B to determine who joins those two. Our first player is a 2-time EPS champion, and he's recently been in peak form. Representing Team Alternate, it's ShoWTimE. Going up against ShoWTimE is a player who says he was eager to play against ShoWTimE because of a recent loss. He is considered the best foreigner of 2014. It's Team Liquid's Snute. Will Snute be able to get revenge on ShoWTimE, or will ShoWTimE show the power of an EPS champion? Players shake hands. It'll be Germany versus Norway for our next match. Let's hear words from our experts.
Thank you very much, Smix. Snute laughing at the EPS joke there himself, as this is a big moment for ShoWTimE going up against Snute. But possible. This is absolutely a definite possible win here for ShoWTimE, but it's not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy at all. Recently, ShoWTimE beat Snute in 2 series. Nate, you got some more info on that because you were there casting it.
Yeah, they played in the Fragmite Masters. They were in the same group. They're actually up there with Wellmu, who's still alive in this tournament. ShoWTimE pretty much dismantled Snute the first series. Snute tried for a gold-based play on Vonnie Research Station. ShoWTimE was like, well, you built like 4 spines to defend this. Your main base is very vulnerable, and he just kind of killed him. Second game, just kind of powered through and didn't have too much trouble. Then he dropped against Wellmu, played him again in the decider. Snute had a better adjustment for Vonnie Research Station. He was able to take that map. But the other two was just very straightforward, solid play from ShoWTimE. There wasn't anything like that really stood out to me as being crazy. Snute was never able to get to that big collective swarm host play to draw out a long game where he could actually put ShoWTimE in his position.
A couple of things to add to this story as well is watching Snute stream a lot. He actually loses to ShoWTimE. He actually loses him quite a bit on ladder. So it's this kind of little small rivalry budding between the both of them. Snute, though, at that time, he played those 2 games. The whole day, he played in the evening, but that whole day, he was doing rehearsals for the Intel Stream Masters World Championship all day. And then at the end of the rehearsal day, he was like, all right, guys, you guys go to dinner. I've got to actually go play this Fragmite Masters group against ShoWTimE. And after that long day, he set up his gear, wasn't in the best condition, obviously, and didn't play to his best. And he accepted that. Now's the time where he's like, okay, it's time for revenge, actually. I'm more than happy to play you. I'm back on form. And he's been practicing, because if you think the World Championship was, what, 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
3 weeks of practice, 3 weeks of getting ready for this very tournament. Snute's ready.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I must say, I haven't really casted a whole lot of ShoWTimE myself. Definitely have seen quite a few of his games, because I'm always excited when a new European Protoss rises to the top of the scene. And so far what I've seen, he really reminds me a lot of HaZuOps. He's maybe a little bit more aggressive, but overall they're both so calm and they speak so quiet and respectful about everyone. So I really get a HaZuOps feeling from him. And he's been good, but I must say in his run of 32 performance, he didn't blow me out of the water. But I wasn't the only one. There were many people on Twitter saying, even diehard ShoWTimE fans, saying man, ShoWTimE is really not playing up to his regular level. He's normally way better than this. And I think he even acknowledged that a little bit. He's like, well, I wasn't really on my best today, but he still won his group. And I guess that says a lot. So this is a really big series on paper. I'm still kind of leaning towards Snute, but this is definitely one that I'm really going to sit for, because it's a make it or break it moment for ShoWTimE.
Well, what do you think about the fact that ShoWTimE was happy to hear that Snute was looking for this match, and he was happy to accept that? To quote him, he said, I'm glad you're in form. Let's play this series.
Yeah, we got a nice little bit of a rivalry going through these, through the 2 of these players. So that's going to be something to look towards. And we see ShoWTimE there on the screen right now getting his headset on. He looks pretty calm right there. We've got 67 losses, and his season stats on 2015. Look at that, Apollo.
Yeah, he went 2-0 in the round of 32 group, and he went up against Pig yesterday to be able to take that victory. The thing is with ShoWTimE, when looking at this series, correct me if I'm wrong here, Nathanius, is ShoWTimE is a player who's breaking through towards the top of the European scene, but he's not there yet. He's conquered Germany, 2 EPS titles, and he's looking to get to the top of the European scene. And this is the perfect opportunity for him to try to make that claim.
this is the moment for him to cement himself as one of the top European Protosses. DeMuslim pretty much always talks about him as basically being the best non-Korean Protoss, right up there with Wellmu. And ShoWTimE had some really good series as well. He made it much further in that Fragile Masters tournament, took series against Hyun, lost 2-3 to Seoul Key, but put up some really good maps. It was actually very close to taking the third map to win that series. And ShoWTimE just looks incredibly solid. He doesn't really make a crazy amount of mistakes, and he doesn't do anything that's too far out of left field that you can say he's predictable.
And in this what I mentioned to you guys as well, in this almost Rocky versus Apollo Creed fight coming up between these two, you think ShoWTimE has what it takes here to knock Snute off his pedal, despite knowing that Snute is the favorite?
I think it more comes down to how Snute is playing than how ShoWTimE is playing. Because I feel that Snute's skill ceiling is still maybe like his peak performance is probably still a little bit higher than what ShoWTimE is right now. So if Snute plays his A++ game, then I think it's too much to handle for ShoWTimE. But if Snute is anything less than his best, then there is a lot of opportunity for ShoWTimE to win this.
Well, let's keep going on this for a second. You watched Snute play versus Max Ed yesterday. He won 2-1, but it was 2-1.
It was. The thing is, as well, I want to bring up is he played against Parting a while ago, and Snute was going for some more unorthodox players, going for the 14-14, which he's mixing it up a bit. We've seen this from him recently, because in the past, a lot of people said he's predictable, and he's trying to change it up a bit. But then against Max Ed, he went for his standard again. So is he going to bring out his standard against ShoWTimE? I hope he does, because I do believe that Snute is a lot stronger when he plays his standard play. He's mixing it up his unorthodox styles. I don't think it's up there yet, so hopefully he sticks to his standard play. And if he does, and he does it well, he's on form, I definitely think he can take out ShoWTimE.
All right, well, there's only one way to find this out, Fenner. Let's head over to the commentary team to see if ShoWTimE can take out Snute. It's going to be Norway versus Germany. Looking forward to this one.
All right, more PVZ action on the way here at the commentary desk to see if the world's best foreigner in 2014 is able to take out ShoWTimE, who is one of those upbudding rising stars in the European scene. I've cast him time and time again, being based in Germany myself, and whenever I do, it's a pleasure to see his progression, because at the moment, he's getting really, really good.
Do you think his progression has been, very consistent over all the time that you've casted him? Has he always been, improving with the same consistency?
I would say so. I would say so. Whenever we see him playing an EPS, the only person that's really able to hold a stick to him is someone like Marine over there, Hero Marine. But for now, we're getting into it. Game number 1 will be on Deadwing very soon here between Snute and ShoWTimE. But overall, yeah, I would say that ShoWTimE has great prospects even going forwards. He's a young guy and very, very talented. He can only go up from here, I feel.
Yeah, ShoWTimE is definitely one of those guys that's put in the hours and that's rising to the very highest heights of possibly even becoming the best foreigner himself. If he was to take down Snute here, went very far, this could be his year, and it all starts here, Kailaris.
It does. It starts here for the World Championship Series. You're able to gain a lot of points. You can potentially move on to BlizzCon. That's pretty tough here for this guy, but we'll see if he's able to continue on forwards in 2015. To the bottom right-hand corner, it is our red Protoss, representing alternate attacks. It is ShoWTimE. Looking to cause upsets here in this match against a player up to the top left-hand corner who is extremely powerful, and you all know him out there. Representing Team Liquid, it is Snute.
Now, we're not just on Deadwing, we're on Deadwing cross-map, Kailaris, which is going to make it a lot harder for the Swarm hosts to do a push, while Snute to go for them. The thing is, even though this rule generally applies, very well to almost anybody, I feel like with Snute it's maybe a little bit less true. Like, he's proved in the past that even, in situations where Swarm hosts are not supposed to be that great, he somehow, made them great himself, just with his playing control of them. So he's going to open with the pull first here. It's something, again, very specific to Snute that he's been doing for quite some time. He wants to get the queens out as early as possible, start getting the injects. He's not going to go for the double hatch before pull way. And I'm really not surprised by that. And ShoWTimE, playing an economic build, Nexus, followed by a Scout with a Gateway on 15. Both, pretty standard here.
Yeah, the thing that stands out for me for ShoWTimE is he hardly really does anything flashy, and he almost plays Protoss in almost a Zerg-like way. He almost plays it in a very reactionary manner, to just, well, I mean, you're doing this, I guess I'll do that. And you're doing this, I guess I'll do that then. Because, I mean, look at how he played against Pig, especially on Overgrowth. You know, he knew what he was going up against eventually and, well, you know, decided to skirt around it. Of course, you can't really engage against an army like that if you're Protoss, but, you know, if you are able to dance around, then why on earth not?
He had some great reactions. Like, a lot of Protosses would have actually just simply lost that game. They would have taken the fight, got crushed, and then from there, you're just dead. Would have been 2-0 for Pig.
Yeah.
But ShoWTimE here, up against somebody like Snute on this map, with the consistency with which, you know, he takes, gets his upgrades going and all that. I do think that on this map, he should be able to do well no matter what, unless he completely messes up. Like, ShoWTimE is somebody who, again, like as you mentioned, he's very consistent, you know, with starting his upgrades. What I really like about him is that he never seems to miss anything. Like, as soon as Blink finishes, you're always going to see +3 starts. Because usually Blink lines up very well with the +2. You're going to see charge starts very quickly. He gets a Warp Prism while he transitions into Colossus if he's facing something like Swarm Host. So he's already shown some great, you know, going around and dodging, you know, an army of Swarm Host and Broodlord last game. This is a map where in cross map, this kind of situation can come into play a lot.
Yeah. And ShoWTimE does have to be careful going up against someone like Snute, because Snute is dangerous and he does have the opportunity and the potential to be very, very, I want to say, passive himself. He can go into that Swarm Host play. He's one of the best in the business at it. Cross spawns isn't as great for him as it is in close spawns, as in vertical, of course, if he really wants to power that kind of play out. But still, it can come along.
5 minutes 30, double gas in the main here for Snute. You know, it's so funny, like how Snute always jokes about the 66 drone Swarm Host train, like even going as far as saying choo-choo himself back in Katowice. We were joking around this. And, you know, yesterday he won his match. I talked briefly to him about it. I was like, hey, nice Swarm Host. And he's like, yeah, 66 drones. I was like, nope, you had 71 in the last game. He's like, oh, yeah, really? And he actually kind of seemed upset. He's like, okay, well, you'll see tomorrow.
Oh, God.
So we'll see this time if he goes for the optimal 3-base saturation and the choo-choo train.
Well, he may, because it is very, very powerful. And he's almost perfected it in the foreign scene, that's for sure. But for now, the Roach Warren's actually going down pretty early here for Snute to deal with maybe anything that comes across the map. ShoWTimE really doesn't have too much going, although that being said, that probe being spotted there does give him an indication of that third base going down pretty rapidly.
Yeah, no surprise. Going for the quick third on this map is a very, very strong and good thing to do.
3 Overlords. He may be opening up the taps here to try and push that. There's not, because obviously there's not going to be that many units out against it.
Ah, man, we're going to see drones start.
You think he'll just go straight there and then from that point on be fine? I mean,
the thing is, the scouting capability is very limited here for Snute.
Well, roaches are on the way.
He saw the pylon but no nexus, so it will be a bit of a gamble to go for pure drones, so he gets a few roaches first. Actually, quite a few, 10. He's a little bit worried, so I guess, yeah, it was a mistake to have these few links or well-placed overlords to scout for the third, and now he's getting units because he wants to defend. He might have to go into aggression himself, and I don't think it's going to be a good thing, because with this many sentries, if ShoWTimE's behind his wall, this is an easy hold.
Yeah.
If he's outside the wall, however, he doesn't have... He made the mothership core very late, Kylars. He doesn't have the energy for a recall yet. I think Snute might have picked up on the fact that ShoWTimE makes mothership core very late. And he might have planned for this to happen the whole time. If he catches these units here, forces a recall, which is not even available yet, Kylars. 94 energy, he's gonna start killing the sentries left and right, force some force fields, and there is not gonna be a photon overcharge.
Yeah, at least he grabbed himself 1 sentry. He's actually just going to go straight home towards his opponent's base, actually, whilst all this is going on. The Roaches already piling on the pressure here at the pylons, which also, there's not that many sentries behind all of this to really help on out. He did end up recalling back to try and deal with this, but this Ling and Roach attack is very, very powerful. 7 workers have already died, Tom.
I mean, this is game, I think. There is so much here. No photon overcharge against this many Roaches and Lings. Snute is going to keep on crushing through. There is not enough stalkers to do the DPS with those sentries force fielding here. Already 11 drones falling. Snute has done his homework against ShoWTimE, and hard countered him perfectly this game. He's even taking a 4th base and 5th base behind this.
A total collapse. A collapse here for ShoWTimE. He is heavily, heavily supply blocked in this as well. And that will make it all the harder for him to really deal with anything that's going on. 4 pylons need to finish up very, very soon. But even pylon at the front is going to die and make this a little bit harder at the moment. Another gateway is going to fall. I don't even think he has that many gates left. Never mind anything else.
He has 66 drones actually right now. I guess he finally reached that, but he actually killed his opponent.
There you go, GG, game number 1 swiftly goes to Snute there. And smiling, I don't think I think ShoWTimE didn't anticipate that, and I think Snute knows it.
I mean, this is as good of a scenario as you can imagine here in a series. He did his homework, he knew what builds ShoWTimE exactly was going to go for. And in the end, ShoWTimE, like, this is one of those games where, you know, like when you're a pro gamer, when you lose a game like this, immediately the first thing you're thinking is, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? How could I have avoided that? And like the answer is so simple. He probably thought of it immediately after asking himself that question. Just send a hallucinated Phoenix first.
Yeah.
He would have seen the units come out. He would have seen that Snute stop droning to make a lot of units. He would have stayed behind his wall with a lot of sentries, warped in stalkers, photon cannons. It would have been the easiest hold of his life, Carlisle. And then from there, it would have been a great situation.
You're right. It doesn't take too much energy to send that over. And even if you don't see anything, it's better than not seeing something that is coming and having to expend all those force fields in the middle of the map. So tough start there for ShoWTimE. Snute looks good, and that's the thing. He has been able to mix it up lately, and he's not exactly the kind of predictable player that you would expect him to be, just like, well, I guess I'm eventually going to end up playing up against Swarm hosts here. Snute can just kill you before that. He's making himself more and more dangerous day by day.
Absolutely agree. Such a great choice, to be honest, to go for this in the first game too. Like, we've seen how annoyed ShoWTimE seemed to be. Going for this in the first game, you know, not only taking the 1-0, but basically saying, well, I'm ready for you. If you're going to do all the same builds you do usually, I'm ready. In every single game, on any map, I know how you play. So get ready, because I am.
I'm coming for you. ShoWTimE now on Varney Research Station has a bit of a hill to climb, especially if he spawns in the bottom position. But Snute, at the same time, it looks like he's having fun already. He was smiling.
Look at that cheeky guy.
He knows what's up. He knows what's up.
You can only be happy after a game like this, let me tell you.
Yeah.
This was so perfect, I have to say, by him. Like, he knew that, or he seemingly knew, that the mothership core was late. He caught the units in the middle of the map. Like, perfect scenario. I immediately, it was going to go down this way. Like, no energy on the mothership core. Eventually, ShoWTimE was able to recall, but not after using some force fields and losing some sentries. And then once the roaches and lings get in there, well, we all know how that goes, and that did not go well for ShoWTimE here in the first game on Deadwing.
Snute opened up the floodgates and poured on through. Game number 2 is going to be on Varney Research Station, as we now jump into that match to find out if Snute can move through in 2-0 position, or if ShoWTimE can contend him. Snute will be moving on to another round of 8 here in WCS, if he's able to take this. Up to the north, it is our blue Zerg. Representing Team Liquid in colors, it is Snute. And down to the south, it's our red Protoss. Looking to claw it back into this series, it is ShoWTimE.
Snute had some pretty tough games, actually. Like, we've talked about it a little bit, up against ShoWTimE in the Frag by tournaments. Some of those tough games, they happened on Varney Research Station. I think the first time that they played on this map, Snute, it was the same positions as this, and he got hit on his 3rd base by massive timing with lots of sentries and stalkers, and he ended up losing a lot. And then behind this, he was just like really far behind. The thing is, back then, he was trying to play with a very minimal usage of the Swarm host. Just because, you know, he just wasn't feeling like it. I was talking to him, and, you know, he was a little bit bored of it himself. He was trying to play differently. It didn't work out. But after that, he basically told me, well, I'm ready again now to play Swarm host, because I don't want to lose. I want to do better. So now here up against the ShoWTimE, you know, who he won the first game against with a nice counter to what ShoWTimE was doing, I wouldn't be surprised if he went into something like that and we finally saw the 66 drones and most of all the Swarm Host Skylars.
Out of curiosity, once the Swarm Host change comes along, Todd, how do you think Snute's going to do? How do you think he's going to fare in terms of rankings of foreigners?
I mean, I think Snute is great with any units. It's just that right now he's the most comfortable by far with the Swarm Host. But I really think that he could play anything he devoted himself to.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do great, no matter what. And actually, like, listening to him talk about the Swarm Host, he already seemed quite confident he would be able to use them well at the new ones, I mean. And he even played some show matches. He played against Harstem and against Goody, beat them both with the new Swarm Host when I hosted some show matches on the test map. And the games were pretty nice. Like, he had actually some insane moves. I thought actually back then that the new Swarm Host looked pretty bad in comparison with the current one. But somehow he made them work very, very well.
It's Snute. He just has this symbiotic relationship with the Swarm Host, apparently. And these Lings will be able to chase off this probe for now with the drone sneaking on down here to this base. I really want to ask him again, and look at this, ShoWTimE scouting out perfectly. Really nice read by him. But I really do believe it's because if there is to be a gateway push forwards and you have the potential of putting that force field on the ramp at the main base, you're not sealing out 2 hatcheries worth of units. You're only sealing out 1.
Not only that, if ShoWTimE is taking a third, it's most likely going to be the third on the left-hand side of his main, not the gold base, because, well, he's not Has.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then Snute is in a great pushing position, not just with Swarm Host, but even with units before that, Roaches, Zerglings. So that's going to give him a lot of initiative. Not only that, but also I'm pretty sure that ShoWTimE probably hasn't played against this before, unless Snute used it against him before in ladder, but then I don't think he would have done it here as well, unless he crushed him really hard, which again, it will mean ShoWTimE's already lost to this. It's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation to go into, to have to face something you have already lost against.
Well, he's getting
Stargate
speed on the way. Is it going to be Stargate? Oh, it is going to be Stargate. All right, ShoWTimE. I think, you know, it's a cool choice because those bases are quite spread out, connecting the third with creep compared to a natural at the back. Will take a little bit of time here for Snute.
Yeah, there is no overlord in position to, I think, see that. Like, going for a Stalker as quickly as ShoWTimE does every single game, it really prevents a lot of scouting that the Zerg would want to go into to exactly see what tech his opponent's going for. But the thing is, Snute usually is good enough to kind of realize what's happening and get spores.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be very important that he does that.
And he actually made his first queen, by the looks of things, at the third base, with the creep already extending out. So it brings validity to what you were saying before. Get that creep out there nice and fast. Make sure you're going to have it in an aggressive spot to then transition on towards that more aggressive position, potentially with those Swarm Hosts later.
With these bases being so far apart and the third base of Snute being, you know, so far forward towards the Protoss, there's actually a chance ShoWTimE, there's some all-ins they could go to. Like, say if he went for an Oracle and then some Void Race, then like a 7 or 8 gates. It used to be, you know, one of those builds that we saw a lot of Protosses do for sometimes. But usually ShoWTimE not really the guy to go for that kind of stuff. And it will be an all-in basically.
Yeah.
A very strong one, but nonetheless an all-in.
The Oracle's going to go on around towards the right-hand side here, and then just dart back into the main. But there is already a Spore Crawler going to be covering that. Likewise in every other base for Snute. So, again, unless he is the Wing Commander himself, he shouldn't get too many kills here.
It feels so weird to cast anyone going for an Oracle after you've casted Trap.
It really does, doesn't it? Like, I know maybe to viewers out there, it might not be the same feeling, but when you're immersed as you are when you're casting a game, it's a very different experience. So,
it's like going to a Formula 1 Grand Prix and then next to this watching Kylai's drive or something.
Wow, thanks, man. I haven't driven for ages. Oh, God, I wish I could drive. It's a sad time, but yeah, I'm probably not as good as them, that's for sure.
Twilight going down, as well as the +1 here, so ShoWTimE gonna take the safe route behind this of basically just going for Blink and upgrades, but look at this Snute taking a base in the middle of the map.
That's cool. That's really cool. He is just slowly expanding towards his opponent and taking over those areas.
Snute is known for going Swarm Host. He's expanding and tree spreading towards his opponents. I'm pretty sure it's time, Kylais.
Yeah, it is
time.
Should be. Yeah, he's almost breached the halfway mark. This little Ling is the harbinger of doom for the other side of the map, as he will lead that creep to victory down towards the bottom. ShoWTimE, though, you know, he's no stranger to this kind of style. He has shown consistency, he has shown good performances against Swarm hosts in the past. I've seen it myself, I've cast it myself, and he hopefully will have the tools to be able to make this one even.
Yeah, the Infestation Pit is gonna go down here. And Snute, he's already got Zerg missile attacks level 1 about to complete. 25 seconds, gonna be able to start +2 as quickly as he wants to. Oh, that creep spread, man. It's funny because it all started with a single Cryptomer. Yeah. And could even end with just one Kailaris.
Whoa. Has he really only been spreading one creep this whole game long?
Right in the direction he wants to push into.
That's pretty interesting. Normally you see it being a bit more aggressive with how many creep tumors he's got, but he is skimping on queens, which is noticeable here, and not missing lava injects while skimping on queens and only having 3 for that, as opposed to the creep spread. So this is a very efficient use of his resources here for Snute.
Snute made a lot of roaches. He did not go up to 63 drones, but 66. He went for 3. So a little bit behind where he would like to be, but I don't think it's that important anyway. Like, he has the money. ShoWTimE, he's gonna need the force fields.
Yeah, he may have he was so close there to actually running into a brick wall of roaches. I don't think he anticipated them moving towards that left-hand side at all. I don't think he anticipated the number of roaches, actually, with what he's actually scouted behind all of this. So he still has to be very careful. He needs to recall out. He's going to get surrounded if he's not fast enough.
And yeah, the Swarm hosts now are on the way. Let's check the worker count, Kailaris. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, that's 66, all right.
It's only Swarm hosts and queens from now. Only Swarm hosts and queen.
Efficiency to the maximum, as I said before, the one creep tumor pushing forwards.
Oh, this is so smart. 3 queens at the same time, too. He's going to be able to defend against the Void Race perfectly with those. The Swarm hosts are going to crush anything on the ground. We don't even have the Colossus yet. At this point, ShoWTimE's best hope against this siege that's going to hit him is going to be going around, making sure he goes like through the right-hand side of the map, go for counter-attack. But I mean, the creep has already breached the middle of the map. Snute is going to be so comfortable in pushing here. He's even getting some spore. Where is it?
The roaches to support the Swarm host to make sure they don't die. He was actually making a lone spore there in the middle of all of this. But at least ShoWTimE is keeping an eye on it with the Hallucinated Phoenix. Doesn't quite want to throw down the Revelation in any of these units with the Oracle that he has available to him. And he is just going for Sentry Stalker at the moment, which can be very, very potent, but going up against Locust, not so much just yet. He is keeping those Stalks alive, though.
Yeah, he's relying on the sentries to, throw down some force fields. Go for the Guardian Shield.
Blinks forwards, gets himself a Queen, gets himself a Swarm host there as well, as they try to burrow during all of this. Good force field usage, but sticking around here, he could get himself the hatchery and just recall out if he wanted.
Yeah, the thing is, this army is going to become more and more useless as the more Swarm host units enter the game. You're going to need, here as a Protoss, you're going to need some Colossus transition, possibly Storm behind this, because obviously there's going to be Vipers almost every single time. Snute, honestly, I don't think he needed to take that base. He could have just taken his natural instead. I don't know why he went for that. Like, this was a little bit unnecessary, but he's still, on quite a few Swarm hosts.
The Stalkers are going to keep powering on forwards. How many does he have? Almost 30 Stalkers here against not even that many Locusts, that many Swarm hosts in this force right now. He is trading pretty well considering. Loses a few Stalkers at the front, though. He's walked into the concave of roaches at the front. There isn't really too many Locusts supporting this, though. They need to spawn again.
ShoWTimE is committing all he has to this, by the way. No Robo Bay behind this, no +3 started, no charge. He's only warping in Stalkers. He's getting a Warp Prism at the same time. I think he wants to go for a Zealous drop in the main. While he's going to keep on attacking on the third base here with all the Stalkers that he has. Finally, we see a Robo base start. And he's finally got a transition in the works here, realizing that this just wasn't going to break Snute. It almost did, though.
Yeah, it's pretty late in the game to have that Robo Bay coming in, but he is cleaning up some of this creep. Actually, the one creep tumor being cleaned up now means that Snute will have to spread it, but he's adding on Queens time and time again now. So if this does get pushed back, of course, he will be able to replenish pretty fast.
Second Robo Bay as well here. ShoWTimE's going to want to go into a lot of Colossi. He's getting Void Race as well. He's doing what I mentioned earlier, trying to abuse the immobility of the Swarmos, but Snute's too good for that. He saw this army coming, so he's just going to send in the Locusts.
Oh, but it's only Blink Stalkers. He can just blink up and go straight into the base on top of some of these Swarm hosts now. At the same time, we'll sacrifice a few of the Stalkers at the bottom because they weren't able to blink up just as well as the others.
He's going to get it.
Uh-oh, that means everything is easy peasy to keep alive.
ShoWTimE lost a lot here. At first, it looked like he might be able to do quite a bit of damage, but all of a sudden, Yes, you're gonna laugh. Look at the supply. 135 to 181. So Snute did what he had to do here. He defended well against this. Now he's gonna be able to start putting down some static defense if he wants to. The thing is, he's not super rich. Snute wants to cut drones at 65 to 66. You know, he does not want to go above 70, just because he wants to make sure that he can get as much army out as possible.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's kind of a Protoss-ish build, you know? Like you do 3 base saturation and then you max out on units and you all in. He's doing kind of the same thing as Zerg, which is very unusual. Usually you see these Zergs, you know, go up to a lot of drones and really count on their static defense and reproduction, remax capability. Snute, instead of doing that, he gets barely enough drones, you know, to saturate his bases, take a new ones, and then he maxes out on very strong units. Swarm host, queens, make sure he's versatile, can fight against everything.
Well, some of these Stalkers are trading off against Locusts in the mid. They have these Zealots who will be cleaned up at the back, and Adrenal Glands +3 weapons for ranged is on the way for both sides, actually, with the weapons going in for ShoWTimE. And he is holding on. He's getting himself that gold base further away from the Swarm Host, which is very, very important here. But the Zergling counterattacks could be a very real possibility.
I think Snute really needs to start pushing here again. With the Swarm Host, I don't know why he's not getting any static defense here. He remade actually quite a few drones, went up to 70. So this would be an opportunity. Like if you look at the minerals, he's got quite a few banked up.
Yep. Oh, back in again. Roaches say hello, and we have to recall on out of there very, very quickly. Snute was ready and waiting back at home.
Yeah, he's got Adrenal Glands now, so the Zerglings that he's making, they're going to be able to run around, maybe get a cancel or a snipe on one of those bases. Right now, the gold is up. He's going to try to catch the Zealots and get them.
ShoWTimE,
another nice trade.
ShoWTimE has a stuck Colossus in his third base, so he'll have to get that out with the Warp Prism that
he's got quite a few stuck ones between the Stalkers, actually.
They're dancing about. Could build warp in here of Zealots, but the pull back there will stop a few of them from warping in. He is looking to go for that infestation pit and will be able to pick it up. So a good juke there by ShoWTimE.
Why is Snute not making spines in his main?
It's got a lot of queens.
You'd be surprised. He has the money. Like he has the money to get spines and then replace those drones. It's really not that costly, and finally will allow him to not have to send anything back at home.
And there we go. There's that Zilling counterattack that I was mentioning before here at the gold base. Also some roaches here. Full recall back though to be able to save it. Those lings and roaches do not have much time left in this game. Oh, did they get a Colossus just then?
Wow, yeah.
Ah, okay. Not too bad for the trade.
This right now is going into a split map situation. And I don't think I've ever seen Snute lose in a split map situation, Kailaris.
That's very
rare.
He
beat CJ Hero on Nimbus back in the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto.
Yeah, he did.
Let me tell you, this is one of probably the scariest player in the world, maybe with Firecake, if he goes into a split map situation with Swarm Host.
The saddest Swarm Host.
Man, he will just mine out the map, get the perfect comp, keep on trading cost effectively. In terms of units lost, we're already at 14,000 for the Protoss player. 10,000 for Snute. So already 4,000 ahead, which is very unusual at this stage in the game.
And you know what's really cool about what Snute does with this style now is that he actually does something that we saw Firecake do in the round of 32, which is 5 Vipers. Like prolonged fight. Normally we would see Snute with about 3 or so, but 5 is something that can cause major disruption to the kind of Protoss army that we're seeing from ShoWTimE here.
He made 5, yeah, up until the point he decided that 8 was actually better. And then later on he made 10 or something.
Well, that being said, ShoWTimE is still dancing around, keeping himself alive. He has got that gold base up and running. His economy is looking all right. He's maxed out as well. Needs to get those upgrades flourishing here. And he's hitting on either side, left and right with Colossus.
Pull back, little boy.
Oh, he's going to lose a Colossus to Spore Crawlers. I can't believe that happened. But
Kailaris, you know why it happens? Because he doesn't have Thermalance yet. He forgot it. So he has to start it now.
Oh, yeah.
This actually, luckily for him, he realized it now. If he had gone for a fight without Thermalance, it would have been a lot worse. I mean, this is not pretty bad, losing a Colossus like this, but still. At least he will have noticed now.
Yeah. It's better to notice it now than it is in the big fight later on when you're trying to finish the game. That is definitely right. Well,
oh, the abducts.
Well, has to recall out of there. Ooh, that mothership core does not get targeted down during that. He actually hit that Colossus at the top. So another base going on to the left-hand side. And there are a lot of queens. The Stalkers are going to blink forwards and try and kill some off. He has a lot of energy for transfuses, though. Could keep some alive, but decides to just let them die there.
Where are you going, Colossus?
I'm definitely not towards those Corruptors as well as those Spore Crawlers with no Thermal Lance.
ShoWTimE's doing his best to go left and right here to try and do as much damage as he can, trying to use the lack of mobility of this Swarm Host, but Snute not really losing too much up against this. He's still about 4,000 resources ahead in units lost. He's still expanding, gonna start building up a bank a little bit. As soon as he starts having a bank, then he can, you know, play a little bit riskier, lose some units here and there. But right now, his units will be kind of hard to replace. And I think that's also why he didn't want to go into static defense, even though it could have been worth it. I think if he went for static defense and then ShoWTimE stopped dropping, that would have been a lot of money spent for nothing, and he just wanted to defend with the queens.
Blinks forwards, trying to look for a Viper or two, gets one of them, decides to go for Corruptors after the Blinding Cloud was stopping the pursuit onto those Vipers. And still an army on the right-hand side here. ShoWTimE is really trying to keep Snute on his toes on the left and the right, with the fleet beacon being added on and Stargates.
ShoWTimE has already accepted that this is going to be a full map split. He wants to go into Tempest. And man, I was anticipating Mana versus Firecake to be the longest game of the day, but it could be right here.
Yeah, it could. It could. ShoWTimE is going to buckle down, get that seatbelt on, and make sure he's going to be able to deal with this. But at the same time, one of the Colossus is going to get abducted forwards. A few more get picked up as well. Good choice there by Snute even to get those. And very, very easy pickings for him at the front.
This wave of Locusts usually enough to push back those units from ShoWTimE, and he's trying to pick off a few units here and there, maybe hoping that Snute will split these Locusts and Swarm hosts wrong across the locations that he's trying to defend. But right now Snute is adding even more Swarm hosts. I mean, why not? He's down to 47 drone Skylars. Wow. Snute knows how to play the split map, not just better than other Zergs, but better than, I feel, almost any player.
Yeah, we very rarely see the Koreans going for a stronger presence in a split map situation compared to how Snute does it.
I've seen Rain play a split map situation and, you know, stay on like something like 60 plus, 70 plus probes for almost the entire game and not having nearly as much army as you would otherwise. Hero as well. So it's something you need experience in. And I mean, who has more experience with this kind of situation than someone like Snute? Yep. Well, Firecake, you tell me, but
oh, Pulse
still pretty good.
Gonna die off on this right-hand side as the Vipers look to tag a few more things. And these Stalkers on the left, well, they're slowly going to sacrifice themselves off for very, very powerful units coming out from ShoWTimE now.
He has way too many probes. He doesn't need to have that many. It's pretty clear by now that he's pretty much going to mine out his side of the map. Keep in mind, by the way, on this map, you can split the map evenly, but there is one base in the middle, a gold base, that's between, I guess, both of the players. Like on the left-hand side, that gold base.
Yeah.
This is right in the middle. You can split that one. You can't like take the top minerals and like the other one takes the bottom one. Like,
well, we almost saw it in...
Oh, I guess you can.
In that one situation, we did see it in the round of 32 that me and you had the pleasure of casting, but...
It's funny, by the way, that Snute still didn't take his natural. There is a War Prism there, basically making sure that doesn't happen yet. He should look into doing that soon. Even though I guess he has enough drones to saturate the bases that he has right now.
It's so funny that that back base still isn't taken at all.
The pocket base.
Yeah, he's like saving it for later.
Oh, Colossus. A Colossus was adopted kill. At this point, it's not even worth anymore here for ShoWTimE to poke forward with the Colossus because they just get abducted, killed. It's just not worth it. Snute, I know you didn't want to make static defense before in your main, but now would be a good time to start doing that.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of money here for it. 4 Stalkers on this right-hand side may have been looking to harass alternate locations, but actually just find themselves a whole fresh base to kill. Those Corruptors could get that War Prism to the top, but...
ShoWTimE going for Tempest here. Basically, he needs to start losing the units that he has on the ground, especially the Stalkers, trying to deal damage with them. He needs to lose those units. Maybe keep a few Colossus alive to make sure he can get rid of the Locusts when he has Archons and Templars. But look, every time he pokes forwards, this happens. He gets abducted, he loses very expensive units, killing almost nothing. Almost 10,000 resources.
I feel sorry for Colossi sometimes at this phase in the game as against Zergs, because all they ever do is just get pulled around and then get killed off. It's not exactly the happiest time for Colossi here. 10,000
resources lost in the units lost tab. Difference, guys. That's massive. That's actually massive. Like right now, Snute is really, really far ahead. The only moments this stat become useless is when somebody has an army or builds up an army that's unbeatable, but I really don't think that the current army of the Protoss player is unbeatable. He's going to rely mostly on the Tempest to make the difference, but does he even...
And the thing is...
He doesn't have that many Templars. He has 0. He needs unit Templars with this to deal with the Corruptors.
The thing is as well, though, is that we're just entering the 30-minute mark, which, yeah, of Chaos. It's quite a long game, but it's not as long as normal, some of these crazy prolonged Swarmos games. And he's getting +3 weapons on his air at 30 minutes. You generally don't see it that quickly in these kinds of situations, which makes these Corruptors extremely formidable going up against this kind of Tempest Force. If you get some abducting, they will absolutely implode. Just
Oh, the
own way.
observers! What's up, boys?
Did he... okay, he's got one left. He's making another 2. Here comes the Warp Prism again.
Oh, the warping in the main here.
ShoWTimE knows what he's doing in regards to this harassment.
ShoWTimE really needs to sack these Stalkers, man. They are like the most useless units against Locust.
Yeah.
He needs to send them towards the right-hand side, snipe a hatch, maybe even blink in the main, sack them, because not only he will get rid of them, he could go for a much bigger warping in the main. I mean, what's Snute defending with here? A bunch of Queens?
Yeah,
you
that's
warp in
it.
10 Zealots 3-3, they're gonna slice those down.
Yeah, they are. Especially since I don't think we have too much range upgrades. I want to actually quickly check that. Okay, no, I need to get +3. What am I on about? Never mind. So the Queens are doing quite a bit of damage, of course, but Zealots with 3-3, as you say, do pack a huge, huge punch. And more spores are being added on at the front.
They really don't care about Queens when they are 3-3.
Yeah.
And they care less, I guess, about static defense. But if you get enough... Oh, the abducts!
Yep. Okay, gonna go for the mothership.
Recall?
Just try to recall and gets out of there just barely. Good save by ShoWTimE. That's a very, very costly investment that he has there.
Oh, he's chasing him down a bit.
You can go for that Tempest that is quite weak at the back end of all of this. 3 Stalkers are going to turn around and try and help out. But
and ShoWTimE recalled in panic, so he recalled to the natural base that he had. So he's actually quite far with a lot of the units that he has.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they had to come along for the ride.
It's going to take some time for him to come back. And right now, Snute's going forward. He knows that ShoWTimE might have recalled a little bit far. So he moves the Spore forward. Look at his army.
The March of the Spores. And they're going to set themselves up and help out this army considerably. And the Colossi are going to kill off a few of these, with the Locusts actually having not spawned just yet, and the Invisibility Cloak not there from the Mothership. But here it comes.
For the longest time, they were at 4,000 resources loss difference.
Ooh.
Then 10,000. Now we are very close to 12,000.
Ooh, good focus fire on the Vipers there by ShoWTimE. Not only killing 2, but also feedbacking the one that was alive halfway through that engagement. So really draining them of their efficiency and their use there.
It's really nice, by the way, that ShoWTimE went for double Cybercore for the upgrades. He's going to get 2-2 here in a second on the upgrades. Should start 3-3 ASAP. But look at his gas. In terms of gas, he's not doing well. Snute as well, by the way. Snute's he's not mining gas right now. Why is he not?
He keeps losing himself a few probes here to ShoWTimE at this base, which is unfortunately
oh my God.
in the
has
heat
too
of this
few
battle.
drones.
22? Wow.
That means he has 178 army supply to 129. So as good as it is in terms of army size, he doesn't feel like he wants to fight anytime soon, as in, take a head-on fight.
Just break him down. I mean, denying this space over and over and over, what is ShoWTimE eventually going to do? He has 5,000 minerals, sure, but minerals doesn't win this war. Gas does.
He's going to lose patience. If this mothership gets abducted, I think he gets sniped before he can recall this time, because it's already took quite a few damage.
He was looking for it. Definitely, he was looking for it.
Zealots on the right-hand side here for ShoWTimE are going to be doing an attack. I guess he's very rich. He has a lot of minerals that he doesn't need because they don't, I guess, match up well with how much gas he has. 33 probes just died. So sacrificing that's going to free up a lot of supply here for ShoWTimE, with which he's going to be able to warp in units. He's warping in units in natural at the Warp Prism. And gonna send them in the main. There is not much there.
A few Locusts there for the defense, but dealing with 5 Zealots or so will take a little bit of time for them. As well, all the Queens were out in another location trying to clean up some extra Zealots at the front.
ShoWTimE's running out of minerals, by the way. As much as he has a bank, he's mined out most of the bases that he had. He's gonna sacrifice even more probes on the top right-hand side. I mean, why not? Actually, is he long-distance mining from that gold base? Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Why not?
He has to do something in terms of mineral, but I still think he needs more gas. He needs something. This is going to get a bit tricky for him if he doesn't have gas later on, unless he can get massive amounts done with the Zealot harassment behind enemy lines. He will have to rely on gas.
The thing is, not having more High Templars here is going to make it difficult. But I guess 4 is a decent number. Having 4 High Templars definitely going to help. ShoWTimE's actually forgetting, a few Tempests here and there. Like he has one in his natural. Needs to be careful. Every unit is important here. And Snute is going to push on the right-hand side this time, the gold base, mostly about the gas. I think he knows by now that ShoWTimE probably mined that out in terms of minerals, but denying that gas income It's going to be important.
Going for the hive. He's not going to get it here just yet, and maybe the queens can come back to transfuse it and keep it alive, but ShoWTimE may end up just continuing down that path, making sure he's relentlessly striking at the hive and maybe cutting down some of the tech behind all of that.
Ooh, looking for some abducts here. ShoWTimE needs to be careful the whole time. If he gets his mothership abducted and sniped, I mean, look at his gas. He's very low on gas. He will be able to remake one for now, but he's actually even warping in some DT here. He warped in on DT on the top right-hand side, sniping the goal. So that's a lot of gas spent again. He really didn't need to do that.
Zealots are getting the job done, it seems. That DT could have. But, of course, he's holding on. He's holding strong. We have just a little bit of extra gas in for him now at the moment. 400 in total. He is making as many Tempests as possible to complete this Golden Armada.
What do you think about the army supply, Kylars?
It's interesting. It's not what I expected, but it's interesting. 182, 175. We're going to get 200, 200. It'll be amazing.
This is what I call a death ball, Kylars.
Yeah, yeah. We have some of those in Legacy of the Void as well. As I said before on Twitter, it gives new rise to the definition of Protoss Death Ball in the Disruptor. But that Nexus actually fell down to the bottom right. There is gas still left there mining.
The hive got sniped in the main.
Yeah, yak. But will Snute even lose any of his army anyway? He still has the Spire, right? So I think he should have the Spire still.
Yeah, he's at the third base, but he's very vulnerable, actually.
Yeah, you're right about that. He really needs that. The Corruptors are going to be the tool that wins this war eventually. Recall Zam does not want to be sticking around there anymore.
20 more drones dying just now. Probes. So he's fine. He's going down to 12. It's so funny. Like at first, it was about the one who was most quickly. ShoWTimE understood that he needed to sacrifice some of his own after, you know, pretty much mining out his side of the map. So he started losing them. And now ShoWTimE is winning the war of having the less workers with just 12 against the 17 drones, which means he's going to be able to make a bigger max out army. Oh, blinking forward here.
That's a really weird war, the war of having less workers, but
to have a bigger army.
Yeah, it works out okay. A lot of those queens will keep themselves alive with transfuses. The Tempests aren't doing a whole lot at the moment.
Every gas unit is very important here. Yeah. Losing a few queens is not that important for Snute because he can replace those. He has a bit of minerals that he's going to mine. But ShoWTimE cannot be losing any of his units. He doesn't have too much gas behind this. And Snute is actually struggling to even remax right now.
Well, Snute's claiming that middle gold base, and that will be a big deal about all of this.
Why is he trying to retake that right-hand side gold base? Every time it gets killed and not even cancelled on the top right-hand side, all of a sudden Snute is broke.
It's funny because there's a pylon right there every time he tries to take it. So, you know, a little bit of a discrepancy here in the game plan for Snute. But, of course, he does still have a very, very powerful army, technically being matched in supply for the most part. But the Tempests with... they're still not doing massive amounts. They're occasionally getting a Spore Crawler or two.
These Stalkers, man, they're really not doing anything for ShoWTimE. The thing is, since he doesn't have that much gas anyway, he can keep them alive for now. He's actually getting denied the two gases on the left-hand side, the last two that he's mining from. So ShoWTimE could be stuck on this little gas for the rest of the game. This is what Snute's going to rely on. He's going to rely on keeping, you know, those expand alive. The left-hand side goal, trying to defend that one, moving some swarm hosts, some spores there, will do the trick. And as long as, you know, he saturates that a little bit. Okay, ShoWTimE down to 3 probes, Kylars.
All right. Are we going to see a 200 max army? I don't think so. Not for a while.
Well, I mean, if he spent his minerals, he could get a bunch of Zealots and max out with them. But I mean, getting Zealots at this point is just even sending in Zealots the way he just did, like he didn't kill anything here.
I don't think I've ever seen a game where you get to 200. I don't think I've ever cast a game where it's been 200 supply army. Apart from maybe if Snute's cancelled a load of Spore Crawlers and then done that way.
Yeah, but then it was an army because he got drones back for the cancel on buildings.
Yeah, true. That's true. Oh well.
Anyway. Now that would be a trick.
That would be. All right, well, as this continues on, 172 army supply against 156. ShoWTimE really doesn't have much income going at all. Actually, he has 0.
You know, a very important thing to note here, because they are playing, you know, it's mostly about the air here.
Yeah.
What's happening is that ShoWTimE being so low on gas, he was never able to start 3-3 for his air units. And Snute, he never started Carapace, not even level 1. So all he has is +3 attack. So it's going to be 3-0.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's Spire.
That's a big deal. That's
you
actually
asked
a big
if
deal.
It was safe earlier, right?
And the answer is no. that goes down pretty quickly. That's actually quite the investment to replenish here for Snute at the moment. Yeah, he's going for it again, but he doesn't really have many minerals at all.
It's funny that Snute had a lair here because he restarted the Spire immediately too. If he hadn't remade lair here, he wouldn't have been able to restart the Spire instantly like he did.
Transfuse! Keep alive! Oh, that's a lot of... Okay, that was kind of cool. I've never really seen it go that quickly. Oh, well done by Snute, keeping that alive.
Magic, man.
It was absolute magic. There was almost no layer, and now there's a perfectly healthy one.
Snute is back up to 23 drones, by the way, which is way too much at this stage in the game, Kailaris. Let's go down to like 15. Get a full static defense, especially since he's mining from the gold.
Yeah. All right, so at least he's got this base going. The Swarm Hosts are trying to protect it. The army of Protoss is coming along, and it might try and go up to the left-hand side and kill off a few of the drones there. Zealots, once again, trying to charge. That was very wasteful there, though, of ShoWTimE.
Let's talk composition here. We have 22 Tempest, 4 Void Race, which are 2-2, remember. 33 Corruptors, who have +3 attack, 0 Carapace upgrades. So it's... I mean, at this point, like, those units are never going to fight head-on, and the reason the Corruptors can't engage into that and trade is that there is Templars on the ground. There is 4 Templars in the world that will storm and kill everything instantly. There is Colossus to help with the Locust, and, well, you need those because there is actually 26 Swarmos, which is massive amounts. Mothership, is he going to remake Mothership?
At the moment, I mean, it's very, very useful. Of course, to protect your High Templars from the Locust once they actually come along. You do not want those being sniped off.
It will be his last Mothership, that's the thing.
Yeah, there's so much gas investment, so much.
There is no mineral income right now for ShoWTimE. Snute is the only one mining, so Snute, as long as he's patient, as long as he keeps on mining out these bases that he has that he can take, and right now it's mostly about the left-hand side gold base, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah, so ShoWTimE playing it very, very patiently. He actually has +1 air carapace on the way. And Rotterdam giving us a bit of a tweet here down to the bottom. So thank you very much, Rotterdam. We appreciate that.
I thought about it earlier too. It's so funny. There is actually a bit of creep here. Otherwise, he might have actually done it.
Yeah.
Because he had the Warp Prism there for a long time, and he saw that this base was basically never taken.
That would be the craziest thing of all
time. The Roddy
time.
mathematics and builds here could have been very, very serious had ShoWTimE stolen this base.
Oh, well.
Maybe. We would have had to send an observer, snipe the Crypt Tumor, and then take it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Go ShoWTimE. Oh, he is going for a Mothership. Interesting. All right. So it's a very, very powerful tool, of course. But if it does die off, if you're not babysitting it well enough, it will die equally as fast. So scary stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Snute, he's not about to lose this base or his army anytime soon. All he has to do here is wait, and it's really ShoWTimE that's running out of time. He's losing more and more units with time passing by. He's down to 122 army supply against 176. His army has been going down and down. Resources lost, 51,000 for ShoWTimE, 32,000 for Snute. Snute is pretty happy with the current situation. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, having only 1 High Templar now after the Locusts have been able to nibble away at it all, it's pretty brutal to deal with. These 2 Infestors, where are you going?
The hit squad, man.
Dun, dun, dun. Over at that watchtower. It could cause a few issues if he's able to lock this army down with some fungals, but look at this. Sneaky, sneaky Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, this is a desperation move here for ShoWTimE to try and finally cause a mistake out of Snute, and that's just not going to happen. Snute has enough money to retake that later. He's starting to build up a gas bank. At this point, Snute could even start sacrificing some of his Swarmos on the ground because all he has to worry about is pure air.
ShoWTimE comes over here and sees that there's still no base. He's like, what? Oh, well.
Hashtag Roddy didn't base.
Well, the funny thing is that for ShoWTimE, I mean, this is how this kind of scenario always plays out. The Protoss always moves around the right-hand side and starts killing off buildings with this army, eventually.
It's so funny, this left-hand side base. They are both trying to mine the minerals from it, but right now it's only ShoWTimE mining it, but Hatch going up.
Share and share alike, my friend. We've already seen this in the round of 32. You gotta have it here as well.
I mean, pure air like this, without Templar support, it just doesn't win. At this point, Snute, he's just making sure he can mine as many minerals as possible before he finally engages. With this many Queens and Corruptors, if he just went for it, I think he just right at win. It's 13 Queens with +3 missile attacks upgrades, +3 Zerg ground carapace. and 34 Corruptors with +3 attack upgrades and now finally +1 carapace.
Yeah, it's very difficult here for either player to really engage into this. ShoWTimE now has 0 workers and 156 minerals, so there will be no more economy. He makes 1 extra probe here to do something.
Snute even has a bunch of infestors. He has 2. Ideally, I think maybe he could add some of those. Get a few more infestors, you know, for some fungal to really hold this army in place.
The thing is that, yeah, ShoWTimE is killing off buildings at the back, but slowly Zerg is encroaching onto Protoss territory down towards the south, which I don't think ShoWTimE is ever going to be able to break the middle fortification of all of these units. So how does he win this? How does he play this out, Todd?
I mean, Snute will have to be making a massive mistake for ShoWTimE to win here. ShoWTimE actually has quite a bit of gas here. Somehow he remained from that gold base, so he could go for a few High Templars. Recall now, regroup, and then finally push on the left-hand side base and finally force the big fight that he's been waiting for the entire game here out of Snute without a static defense nearby.
Infestor bros, you don't want to die. Just run away for now, but they will end up dying pretty quick. Sorry, guys.
With that infestation pit, man.
Oh, it completed just before this Spire dies, so that's okay. And the Swarm hosts are getting the most aggressive we've ever seen them in this game. Just walking straight into the Protoss base. And that cannon, second cannon is also going to die off. Got a few Swarm host kills.
He managed to start 2 Corruptors just before this died. So that's 2 more Corruptors that he's going to have to deal with this. I really think that Snute has enough.
This may be the engagement. Gets himself some of the Void Rays at the front here as those Corruptors start going to work. There's really... he has to recall out of there. There's no way he's going to be able to take that fight. He doesn't have Storm. He doesn't have AoE to deal with the Corruptors.
Well, Snute, make yourself at home.
Yeah.
Burrows all the Swarm hosts.
And now all the Locusts are blocking in the Swarm hosts.
Actually, he should... He doesn't need to keep them alive at this point. All he needs is a Spire to get more Corruptors just to make sure he wins even harder in the fights.
That was funny. Oh, well... You've served your purpose, Swarm host. Time to stay there and die. But that is still a lot of Corruptors. A lot of Corruptors. The Void Rays are going to get brought down as is an Oracle.
Oh, this is massive. Getting the Oracles too is going to make sure that ShoWTimE cannot see him from afar, cannot start shooting him before the fight actually starts. It's 37 Corruptors to 21 Tempest and 1 Void Ray. He could win with just the Corruptors, Skylars.
Yeah, that's
but he's not going to do that because he wants to make sure he crushes this army.
Yes, he does. Because he's Snute. He can set himself up a lovely concave and just go from there. And this is going to be very, very difficult for ShoWTimE. He has to bounce back and forth forever and ever and ever. But already, 1 Tempest is going to get brought down here. The Mothership core, the Mothership even doesn't really have much more place to go as that will be brought down. And now this leaves the Tempest in a really sorry spot against 34 Corruptors. And 1 Void Ray and 18 Tempests are going to stand against that. The Swarm hosts are going to go for an excursion again. A little bit of an adventure down towards the bottom.
Yeah, Snute has the Spire halfway through done, and he has enough minerals to start, and gas, to start 23 Corruptors. So, I mean, why not? Why not make sure that he gets those?
Standard place to put a spawning pool in this game. Wherever, it doesn't really matter. As these Tempests... still going to try and go for it. He could just win the outright base race. He's just trying to eliminate the buildings, and why on earth not? I mean, these Tempests, they can't
coming back?
They can't be aggressive and defensive all at the same time, and ShoWTimE is planning for his 1 probe to make 2 assimilators during this game.
I think ShoWTimE right now, he has to come to terms with the fact that he's not going to be winning that game. I mean, he doesn't even have detection against these. He's actually splashing them nicely, but I mean... Oh, he has an observer.
He has 2 observers with it. That were on top of all of this, but he's lost so many buildings. So many buildings. There's 1 probe up to the top. There's 2 gateways down to the bottom.
13 Corruptors on the way. So these Corruptors, they will outnumber these Tempests by quite a bit.
And the only ground damage is really 3 Swarm hosts, as well as the Queens, of course, that are just going to have to slowly march towards things if he wants to go for buildings.
I think there's going to be almost 50 Corruptors, Skylars.
Yeah.
Against just 18 Tempests and 1 Void Ray. I know you need to respect the Void Rays, but in this case, you need to respect the Corruptors.
Yeah, not just 1 Void Ray is going to be up to the task here. I am afraid that is too tall an order. Snute starts to go back to mining here as we're about to hit the hour mark in this game.
Yeah, ShoWTimE here. He doesn't have long in this game, let me tell you.
No, not at all.
50 Corruptors with 4 more on the way.
Those 3 swarm hosts could march on down and try and start working on those buildings towards the bottom. And it's only the 2 gateways at the moment.
You know, it's crazy to think that the last time they played, it really felt like Snute just wasn't being patient enough. He was being very impatient. He didn't want to play swarm hosts. But in this game, he's the opposite. He's saying, I'm back. And this time I'm more patient than I've ever been. I'm here for the win. I'm going to do what I need to do to win. He even said it himself, you know, in an interview. I'll use the swarm hosts up to the best of their capability and mine up until when the patch comes out where they're going to be changed.
And this one swarm host is going to go to work on these 2 gateways, which are the only 2 buildings at the moment. Of course, there is that probe still lurking about up towards the top. And that will be able to make 2 more buildings out of those assimilators.
This is going to be a very sad ending here for ShoWTimE, who's
racing back to deal with 1 swarm host. He finds it, and those locusts decide to go on strike.
Snute is about to have 60 corruptors, Skylars. Why not?
Why not? It guarantees him the victory at this point, pretty much. He can A-move, that is... I don't think I've ever seen 60 corruptors in 1 game, now that I think about it.
Oh, you can't really see them because they are right on top of each other. So.
Well, yeah, okay. This cloudy smoke that is the corruptors is going to do well, I think, here against ShoWTimE.
Them, here we go! It's time! Even the queens are going to come in and help.
All right. Nope. Moves back there for a second.
What's ShoWTimE hoping for? Like, is he going to kite 60 corruptors and kill them?
He might try. He might try. The queens, they get themselves an observer. And there's only 1 observer left now. So, going to try and move on forwards here. The corruptors can basically A-move as they corrupt. I think about 20 of them corrupted 2 Tempests there, but they end up falling very, very fast. ShoWTimE trying to hold on against this, trying to micro against it, but there's no way you're going to beat the swarm at this point. And ShoWTimE will end up falling. GG, Snute takes the series 2-0 and moves on to the round of 8.
Probably some of the most patient games I've ever seen here out of Snute. Really taking his time. Could have finished it earlier, but this is such an important game. He qualifies here for the top 8 of WCS. He's got to be happy with this.
Yeah. You can hear the crowd cheering very loudly out there for Snute. A lot of the French people here have gathered, as well as people from afar as well, to check out the WCS here at Gamers Assembly. And so far, it's been very, very good here. So let's head over to Smix with our winner. Moving on to the round of 8, it is Snute.
Thank you very much, Colares. Congratulations, Snute, on your 2-0 victory. Now, game 1, you pretty much dominated, but let's just jump right into game 2. Before we go into the game itself, which turned out a little weird, my first question to you is, you never seem to take your natural Anvani research station, and I saw you do this yesterday too. What is the reason for that?
The reason why I take that base is because of Warp Prism. If you get your main force fielded, then at least you don't lose 2 bases, you lose only 1.
Okay, but even as the game went forward, you were taking all the other bases at 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and you just refused. It was almost like you just hate that natural or something. Why did you leave that base empty for the whole game?
I forgot about the base.
All right. So let's jump into the game details itself. The game started out with you coming out a little aggressively with the Storm Host, and then it turned into kind of the normal Snute-style Storm Host game that we're used to, but it was still very strange. Can you walk us through your perspective of that game?
Yeah, so in the start, I used a lot of roaches, like 25 or so, because I know he likes to be aggressive. But I refused to let myself go beyond 66 drones, because then I usually lose games. So I just made roaches to stay safe. And then I know ShoWTimE likes to be aggressive once he hits 66 probes as well. So it turned out he did. He tried to break me with Void Rays, Sentries, Stalkers, etc. And from there I just fell back on the 66 drone swarm host style. And you can't really kill Zerg at that stage. And ShoWTimE wisely switched into his type of Skytoss game, which is the best thing to do in my opinion. And from there, the game played out exactly like it's done in practice for me. Zerg can easily take the left-hand side of the map, and the goal for Protoss is to secure both the gold bases. But in this game, he was not able to secure the upper gold, so I won.
Well, with this victory over ShoWTimE, you did secure yourself into the quarterfinals. You'll be joining your teammates TLO, who just made it there from Group A, and he actually stated that he just wants to face as many Zergs as possible because he's confident in his ZvZ. What are your thoughts? Do you have any preferences in terms of the people that you want to face?
I haven't played against that many Terrans lately, and I've been practicing a lot for Terrans, so I think it would be fun to play. ZvP, you know, so I think CVT would be fun, so I'm hoping for a Terran.
All right, well, thank you very much, Snute. Congratulations again on that crazy series. Experts, what did you guys think?
Thank you very much, Smix. We have a lot of opinions on that, but only a certain amount of time, unfortunately. Rotterdam, that base, he forgot about it.
It's really funny because we were kind of joking over here, and at a certain point I was like, I wonder why I think. I was like, maybe he forgot about it, and then you laughed at me.
Of course.
You laughed at me.
You laughed at Snute when he said it as well.
That's true. At least I suggested it. Like, it's really funny how like such things can happen to, you know, one of the best players out there. But overall, I think game number one, I'd rather focus on game number one than game number two, because I felt that after the big 3-base attack, it was an uphill battle. And ShoWTimE did a phenomenal job in hanging in there and trying to make something of the game, but I felt that Snute was in the driver's seat. Game number one, I think, was much more interesting, because like ShoWTimE played in a way that a lot of Zergs struggle with, you know, Protoss players moving out with sentries, and it's just like cross-map Deathwing. It's not that easy to move out with a few sentries, and Snute just like jumped on the opportunity immediately, forces him to make force fields, forces him to look at home, then ShoWTimE makes a panic recall in which he forgets 3 units, and it's just like, it's almost all over from there, you know, so I thought that was a really good read from Snute about the way that ShoWTimE was most likely going to approach the matchup.
All right, well, looking forward now, before we close this up, Snute got good chances to challenge for the title, boys?
Definitely, looking at that series, he looked incredibly strong. I thought he was looking weak in the past week or two, but seeing those games, looks like he's on form. I'm ready for Snute to get deep in this tournament.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, if he wants to play a Terran, he's got a very good chance of needing to beat one if he wanted to get the title. Both Polt and 4GG, two of the strongest guys here. And yeah, I'll be very interested to see if he can back up those claims that he'd like to place in ZvT.
Well, congratulations to Snute. He's our 3rd player to make it to the bracket stage, to make it to the top 8. We can have a look at the bracket, or at least the group, should I say, of Group B. And we can see just about that Snute is through in 1st place with that 2-0 over ShoWTimE. But that leaves us with one final match left. ShoWTimE versus Maxed.
Yes.
It's fun, boys. I love me some PvP. I think it's actually the first PvP that we've seen over here, right? In the round of 16. And Max said he played some PvP against Huck in the WCS America round of 32 and also against Welmo. First game was very wild and scrappy, but I felt game number 2, Max had just played great. If I recall correctly, the game was on Catalina, and he just played very standard, straight up. Was even kind of in an awkward position, but he made the best of it, like just build otherwise, and he just played very well. So I think it's going to be a really good series, and I'm curious to see how ShoWTimE is going to approach this PvP, because it won't be easy for him.
All right, well, thank you very much. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we return, we can see if Germany can get 2 players in the top 8, or can China be that last remaining player? Can he do it? Max said, we'll find out.